Look at your keyboard right now. The top row of letters reads QWERTY, not ABCDEF. Why? Why would anyone arrange letters in such a strange, seemingly random order? You have probably heard the popular explanation. It goes something like this. Early typewriters jammed when people typed too fast, so the inventor deliberately scrambled the letters to slow typists down. QWERTY was designed to be inefficient. That story appears everywhere. It feels satisfying. But it is almost certainly wrong. Here's the real story of how QWERTY came to be, who actually invented it, and why we are still using a keyboard designed in 1873. Let us go back to the beginning. The man behind QWERTY was named Christopher Latham Sholes. He was born in 1819 in Pennsylvania. He worked as a newspaper editor and printer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was also an inventor. In 1866, he and two friends, Carlos Glidden and Samuel Soule, began working on a machine that could print letters. Their first model looked nothing like a modern keyboard. It had 2 rows of keys arranged in alphabetical order. The top row read 3579 NOPQ RSTU VWXYZ. The bottom row read 2468 ABCDEFGHIJKLM. This alphabetical layout had a serious flaw. The typewriter used metal arms called type bars that swung up to strike the paper. When a typist pressed 2 nearby keys in rapid succession, the arms would clash and jam. Because the printing point was hidden beneath the paper carriage, typists could not see that a jam had occurred until they lifted the carriage to check. This slowed everything down. Sholes knew he had to find a solution. Between 1868 and 1873, Sholes tested approximately 50 different keyboard arrangements. He rearranged keys. He moved common letters apart. He tried to separate frequently used letter pairs like th and cest so their type bars would not collide. One key figure in this process was Amos Densmore, brother of Sholes' financial backer James Densmore. Amos Densmore studied letter pair frequency in English to help Sholes decide where to place the keys. By April 1870, Sholes had developed a 4-row keyboard that was very close to modern QWERTY. He moved 6 vowels to the top row. In 1873, James Densmore sold the manufacturing rights to the Remington and Sons Company. Remington was already famous for making firearms and sewing machines. Remington's mechanics made a final adjustment. They moved the letter R to the top row. The period key was moved elsewhere. Now the top row reads QWERTY instead of QWE.TY. The first Remington typewriters were sold in 1874, but it was the Remington No. 2, released in 1878, that truly popularized QWERTY. This was the first typewriter to include both uppercase and lowercase letters using a shift key. Now, let us address the popular myth. Was QWERTY designed to slow typists down? The answer is no. The real goal of QWERTY was the opposite. Sholes wanted to prevent jams so that typists could type faster without interruption. By separating commonly used letter pairs, he reduced the chance of neighboring type bars colliding. This allowed for faster effective typing speed, not slower typing. In 1873, Sholes wrote that he had arranged the letters as to avoid any possible repetition of the jamming problem. He did not say he wanted to slow anyone down. He wanted to remove the obstacle that forced typists to stop. However, QWERTY was not the only keyboard layout available. At the time, there were competing typewriters with different designs. The Hammond typewriter used a different layout. The Blickensderfer typewriter featured an ideal keyboard with the home row letters D, H, I, A, T, E, N, S, O, R. These 10 letters could form 70% of English words. So why did QWERTY win? The answer is market dominance. Remington was a powerful company. They offered typing classes on their machines. Typists who learned on Remington typewriters became proficient in QWERTY. Switching to a different layout meant relearning an entirely new skill. Most people did not want to do that. In 1893, 5 major typewriter companies merged, further solidifying QWERTY as the industry standard. By the time the Dvorak simplified keyboard was invented in the 1930s, QWERTY was already too deeply embedded in the culture. Dvorak never caught on. There is one more piece of this story. Some researchers at Kyoto University have proposed that QWERTY's evolution was influenced by telegraph operators, not just typewriter mechanics. In the early days, telegraph operators were the primary testers of typewriters. Their feedback may have shaped the final arrangement. But regardless of exactly how QWERTY came to be, one thing is clear. The layout is over 150 years old. It was designed to solve a mechanical problem with metal type bars. Today, computers have no moving parts. Jamming is impossible, yet we still use QWERTY. Why? Because it is what everyone learned. It is what every keyboard has. Switching would require billions of people to relearn how to type. That is unlikely to happen. So the next time you look at your keyboard and wonder why it looks so strange, remember Christopher Latham Sholes. He was a newspaper editor who wanted to build a writing machine. He spent 5 years testing 50 different layouts. He accidentally created a standard that has survived for more than a century. And despite what you may have heard, he was not trying to slow you down. He was trying to keep the machine from breaking. Today, your computer has no moving parts, but the keyboard layout from 1873 remains. That is why the keyboard is QWERTY and not alphabetical.